Okay, cool. So I want to run through this, and I want to keep it simple.
Can I hop back in here? I want to answer one question real quick that just is jumping out at me. Somebody's asking, what is an upsell? I should just let you know, when you purchase a product, what happens is you'll purchase the front end product, and let's say it's a $37 product. Okay, it's the main course, right? And they try to pack a lot of value into that main course. So for $37, you get something. After the person makes the purchase, a lot of the times what happens is they'll give you what they call an OTO, right? So remember that. It's one-time offer. And it's an offer, it's a bump offer or an upsell offer where they're like, for a limited time right now, you only have, while this page is open, you can get the pro version for only $97 upgrade in the price. Or you can get some personalized help or something else, right, for $97. And so it's like a one-click thing, and if they click it, it's added to their sale. So now that $37 sale becomes 97 plus 37, so what is that, $134. And then after that, they'll say, oh yeah, and you get to download our archive of interviews, blah, 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 for only $54 more or something like that. So if they take it, now they get it, otherwise they never get the chance to buy that again. It puts a lot of urgency into the funnel, and some people take it. I mean, on average, about 50% of the people will take that first upsell, which is significant. So if the vendor isn't using upsells, then they're not making you as much money as they could be. And remember, the job of the affiliate of the vendor is to make you, the affiliate, as much money as they possibly can. They need to understand the upsells. The second upsell, on average, customers will take it about 30% of the time. And then the third upsell, same thing, about 30% of the time. But there's fewer and fewer customers who get that far in the upsell chain. Does that make sense? So that's an upsell. Yeah?
Okay.
Okay. Hopefully that's to everybody.
Okay, cool. Yeah. There's a little bit of a delay in the questions right now for me. It made sense. I think it sounded good. So all right, so tracking IDs, the purpose of the tracking IDs are so that you can test a bunch of different stuff and you can see what's working and what's not working. So let's say that you're running 2 ads on Facebook and you're running them to, you're just testing the images and you're running them to the same pre-sale page, the same offer. And then you go into your ClickBank account and you have 10 sales. Well, how do you know which of those sales are from ad 1 and which of those sales are from ad 2? If you're running more than one ad, the only way that you're going to know is if you actually track. So we've built this functionality into our pre-sale page. The actual setup of this is in the newbie proof videos. So if from a technical perspective this sounds confusing, just make sure to review the newbie proof videos. They go over that. But basically, when you put your link into your pre-sale page, it'll be like landingpageurl.com $TID equals, and TID stands for tracking ID. And then you put in some letters and numbers to differentiate. And this can be as simple or as complex as you want it. It could be as simple as ad 1, ad 2, ad 3. And then when you go looking through your sales in ClickBank, you're going to see 10 sales, and maybe 3 of them say ad 1 and 7 of them say ad 2. So now you can crunch the numbers and you could say, how much ROI am I getting on ad 1 and how much ROI am I getting on ad 2? So one thing I want to mention before, there's some like trippy effects going on in your video. So naming conventions is something that I want to mention. So you want to come up with a standard naming convention for your situation, whatever helps you remember whatever stuff you're doing. So if you're testing a lot of stuff, I mean, you can put as much or as little as you want into there, whatever you want to track. So you can target, you can put in information. If you're testing different audiences, you could, like here I've got TID equals men 65 mobile, landing page 2, ad 3. You see there's all these different pieces of information that I'm throwing into that tracking ID. Or you could just do like TID 1, TID 2, TID 3, TID 4, and then somewhere you have a spreadsheet or a document where you list out all the stuff that all the variations that you're doing on that specific ad campaign. The idea is just that whatever it is you're testing, you want to include a tracking ID so that you can differentiate that later when you just have a list of sales. So anything to add to that, Gary? The goal is just to keep it as simple as possible.
No, I think you covered it really well. Again, it's just going to be different for everybody. It's just so that you can identify which ad is working. As long as you can identify it, it doesn't matter. That's what's important. You can put it into a spreadsheet or something like that. So you're always tracking and see your numbers really well.
So does everybody, give me a little feedback, does everybody understand the tracking ID thing? And if you have any questions specifically regarding tracking IDs, just plug them in right now. Okay, so a few questions are like, where do we put this tracking ID in the Facebook ad area right on the ad we create? So there's a couple ways you can do it. Facebook gives you, I don't have the interface, they always change the interface. I don't have it right in front of me at the moment, but they do have a section where you can add tracking IDs to an ad. So you, like if your website is fitter, betterme.com, and then your pre-sale page is, quiz one, it'd be /quiz one. And you can either just insert your URL and at the end of that, put the little question mark TID equals and add your tracking ID on that ad. Or if you want, and you go and you say, I duplicate that ad campaign, change out the image, there's a field in Facebook that allows you to add, I forget what they call it. It's like, they don't call it tracking IDs, they call it something else, like query variables or some technical term. And if you add the ID there, it will add it onto the end. But the easiest way is to just make your URL in your ad in this format. And then the pre.
Can I jump in there? I'm just gonna throw this out at you because a few people have said this. People who probably have a little more experience than others. I'm saying that asking, shouldn't you put the offer page URL.com instead of the landing page URL? They're thinking that that's a type. Yeah.
This is covered in the newbie proof videos. So they're thinking about the hop links. So this is all coded into our pre-sale page. You don't have to go and create a tracking hop link. Just make sure to review the newbie proof videos. I don't want to go too deep into technical stuff because that's for the supplemental videos and it's covered. Just make sure if the tech thing is confusing to you, watch the newbie proof video because that spells it out and it shows an example. The point is you need to understand in this section of the training right now is the concept of a tracking ID. So what it does, how to use it. Does the concept make sense to you? That if you're running one ad, you want to have a tracking ID that's like ad one, and if you have another ad, you want a tracking ID that says ad two. It says I have a slow connection, so I'm gonna, oops. Sorry, today's technical issues. Can you hear my voice okay? It looks like it just automatically turned off my camera, my webcam.
I can hear your voice just fine. Yeah, your cam is gone. I
Go
kind
to
of reiterate something here to everyone. I just want to make sure that because there's a lot of questions around the tracking IDs and some of these technical questions that are technical stuff that we've been covering here. So again, I believe that most of this is covered inside of the newbie proof videos. So please review those. Sometimes when you watch the videos, they won't make sense to you right away. And then when we talk about this stuff, it'll make sense once you go back and watch the newbie proof videos again.
Okay, so I think we can move on then. It sounds like in general people are understanding the tracking IDs.
Yeah.
So let's hop on through to let's cover the tap the vein method to wrap things up, and then we could spend a little bit of time on Q&A and shut things down because we're already over 2 hours.
You want to talk about Facebook Pixel at all on this call? Facebook Pixels?
We can. It's a little bit of an advanced topic.
Is it anything that was covered in the newbie proof videos at all?
if it would be, it's covered in Sean's supplemental videos.
So if you have questions about the Facebook Pixel, look at Sean's supplemental videos in week 4. There's a video that specifically covers Facebook Pixels. But yes, you can use Facebook Pixels to track all kinds of conversion points, from the click through to the pre-sale page, the click through to the VSL, the click through to the checkout page. Even a click on a certain button, you can do conversion points there as well. So if you had a Quizlander, you can set all that up. It's a little bit more technical. We can't probably get into that on the call, but yes, there's conversion points that you can use that are pretty powerful, advanced features. What was the specific question?
Well, I could cover it as just a general conceptual, like how people understand what it is,
Sure.
and what they do. So like, we're going to add some, so based on some of the feedback that I'm seeing on this call, I'm going to talk to Sean and we're going to add some additional supplemental content to week 4. And Gary and I have been talking about creating like a text checklist, the overview of the, setting up an ad thing and cover anything that based on the feedback of what's still confusing people, and make sure that you're covered from start to finish on here's how to run an ad and you understand all the basics. So the Pixel, what it is, one of the questions I've been getting several times on this webinar is regarding the types of ads to run, whether to run an ad that optimizes for traffic or an ad that optimizes for conversions. They used to call it optimizing for clicks, but now they call it optimizing for traffic. So there's a couple of different types of ads. And I'm going to get with Sean and make sure this is clarified in the supplemental videos. But generally what we did is in the past, we would optimize for clicks. And now it's like optimizing for traffic. And then you transition into optimizing for conversions. And then what Facebook does is they look at the conversions. In other words, they look at the sales that you've done and they look at their users that are buyers. And then they can like generate an audience of people that are similar to buyers of your product, and then they can optimize that. And then that allows you to, generally what happens is those audiences tend to be much higher ROI. But the way that you build that audience is you use the Facebook Pixel. And so this is a little bit advanced, but you can reach out to the vendor. You could take your Facebook Pixel, and it's a little piece of code that they will put on the thank you page, and it will send a notification back to Facebook when somebody reaches that page. So Facebook can track when somebody is actually a buyer, and you can mark that pixel as when somebody reaches this thank you page for the offer, that's now a buyer, and it builds an audience, your custom audience in Facebook. And so you can do lookalike audiences in Facebook where you say, make an audience that's similar to that audience. And so over time, the way that it works is you need enough people in that audience so Facebook can make a lookalike audience. If you have 10 people, it's not enough. So in the beginning, you cannot optimize for conversions because you don't have enough people on those lists. You have to optimize for traffic. Okay, and so they will just try to get the most, people similar to the ones that click on your ads. And so I don't want to get too deep into the actual technical aspects of your Pixel because it's basically just a piece of code that you copy and paste onto one of your pages. And Sean can cover that stuff in the supplemental content. But just the idea that a Facebook Pixel can track where people go on your website, and the idea that you can generate an audience of buyers, and the idea that you can then generate a lookalike audience of similar people with similar characteristics to those who've bought your products in the past, and then that can be your most profitable audience. So does that make sense? Can you just type, let me just open the question box again and see if it's making sense for the Facebook Pixel, what it is.
And I'll jump in here too while you're checking those responses out. And I've been looking through the questions as well. So again, if we don't get to your specific question, because we are running out of time here today, And there's so many questions. What we are doing is our support team, Kimberly, actually, she's running through every single question that you guys ask here. So don't hold back on your questions. If you have relevant questions that you need an answer to, just know that even if we don't get to them on this call, on any of our calls, that we are going through and creating a frequently asked questions for you guys. And we've already gone through all the previous weeks. I believe week 4 maybe even be done now. And then after this call, Kimberly will be going through this again and creating a really well organized FAQ, okay? Frequently asked FAQ. And so your questions will be answered if not on this call, then in the frequently asked questions section that we will be posting, or however we decide to do that. I don't know if we'll do that as a FAQ for each week, or if we put it into a centralized FAQ. But the answers will come. And I am noticing that some of you are requesting that there's a little more elaboration that should be done around, in some of the newbie proof videos around pixels and maybe scaling. And if there's other recommendations in there as well where there's some confusion, we'll definitely get in there and take that to heart and provide every possible answer to every question that you get that you have. So yeah, we'll cover everything. Just put it in there. If you have a question or you feel like something is missing at all, do let us know, and we'll make sure that that's covered in our newbie proof videos.
Okay, so I'm seeing a lot of feedback that people are saying that the pixels make sense. I see a handful of people making comments about confusion. And so, like Gary said, we're going to add more content based on the feedback to make sure that it's all covered. So I think we can move on from the Facebook pixel, and I think we can hop into the
one.
All right.
I want to throw one more thing in there too. I think it's worth saying on the call. As far as the Facebook pixels, I don't know if Sean covered this or not, but it's worth noticing that when it comes to the Facebook pixel on the conversion page or on the thank you page, you didn't talk about this, did you, Rob? You have to go through the vendor usually to get that placed. So you can place that. You did?
Yeah, I mentioned that.
Okay, so let me say specifically for the vendor that I did the interview with the other day, and each vendor is different. Some vendors, you'll go to them and they'll happily take your pixel and place it on their conversion page for you. And some vendors, they don't want to clutter up their page with thousands of pixels, and so they'll only do it for vendors that are achieving a certain level of performance. So like if you're doing 10 or 15 sales a day, then they will gladly place your pixel there. But if you're doing less, then they won't. I know that's a bit of a hurdle because it makes it more difficult for you to see what ads are converting. So sometimes you just have to like talk with the vendor and bug them a little bit, and they'll hook you up. So that's the most important place to put the pixel, really, so you can see which ones of your ads are leading to the actual money, to the actual ROI, right? So anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So should we cover the tap the vein?
Okay, yes. So tap the vein, this is something that I discovered, I'd say a couple years ago, 3 years ago maybe. It took a little while. I'd say about 6 months or 12 months into my my online paid ads career, I guess you could call it. I discovered something, and so let me tell you a little story. And we will be posting this inside the members area too this week. It'll be the tap the vein method is a special download for you, so you can check it out and look at it in more detail. But so the concept of the tap the vein is that it's like when you run an ad on Facebook, there's so much traffic around the world, but the traffic is placed into imagine like these little buckets, right? Based on actions, based on it could be a million different factors, okay? Facebook creates these little buckets. At least this is how I kind of analyze it. And they tap you into this bucket of traffic. Some of the traffic are hyper clickers. Some of them like a lot of things. Some people buy a lot of things, okay? Now, there's good veins, and then there's bad veins for depending on whatever it is that you personally want. So some people are paying for likes. Like that's what they want. They want likes. And other people are paying for clicks, or they actually want purchases, right? They want buyers. So what you want is, because you're here to make money, is you're targeting affiliate offers, you want sales, right? And so you need to tap into the bucket of hyper buyers. And trust me, there are people out there that buy more than other people. I'll just give you an example. If you had an email list, we're not teaching email marketing, but just as an example that I can understand, Rob can understand, and most of you probably can understand, you could have a list of 100,000 window shoppers or freebie seekers. These are people who entered their email address so that they could download something for free, right? And you have them in one bucket. And then you have another list of, say, 1,000 people who purchased a $97 product. And then you run an offer to each one of those buckets. You'll probably make more money off those 1,000 people that spent $97. They've proven that they're willing to pull out their credit card and buy something than you will off of those 100,000 people who are just freebie seekers. Some of them will buy too, but you'll make way more money off of this bucket, okay? So Facebook, when you're running a Facebook pixel to your audience, well, Facebook is collecting data. They're experts at collecting data. So they know not only from all the pixels that people are running, to a buyer, to offers, they know that certain people are hyper buyers, and they know what people's interests are in different topics, whether it's weight loss or whatever. So they do have these certain buckets of the audience that are where you want to be, because if you get plugged in or tapped into this particular vein, we'll say switch from calling it a bucket now to a vein. There's a vein, okay? And if you think in the body, you have veins in your arm, right? And if you see somebody try to stick a needle into the vein, they can slide in or out, and hopefully you've never experienced that, where like a nurse is bad at tapping the vein. It can be really annoying and really painful. But as soon as they get tapped into that vein, it's like blood flows, okay? Same scenario, the same analogy with the gold. You get tapped in the gold vein, and you got gold. You're tapped into gold. Now you can get into the vein, or you can fall out of the vein. But there really is a vein, I'm telling you. Now I figured out a way that you can tap into the vein that works really, really well. So let me back up again. Okay, so the way I discovered this was, there was a group of me and like 3 other of my friends. We've all gone on to be very successful at paid ads, extremely successful. And then we all kind of came up together running Facebook ads in the same little group on Skype. What we found is that because we were sharing the exact same ads, ad images, ad copy, the same tracking system, the same pre-sale page, everything we did was exactly the same targeting, everything. We were just like, one person would have a more success, so we would just emulate that straight up copy that one person. So the question was, why would one person get a 350% ROI and another person would get a 50% or 100% ROI? It shouldn't happen, right? It doesn't make sense. So why in the hell would that happen? And what we found is we keep, you close down the campaign, and then you open up another campaign and it doesn't work, and then you abandon that campaign, you open it up again, and you do the same thing, and then all of a sudden, boom, it just starts working. And we saw it enough times to realize that well, we're just plugging into a vein of hyper buyers, and once you're in it, you're in it. But until you're in it, you're out of it. So what we tried, and we just tested this out, what we tried was, let's just run 10 identical campaigns at the same time. And inevitably, one of those, so I'll just, say like maybe it's $10, $10 a day to 10 identical campaigns, right? Some of them will break even, most of them will break even, but one of them will outperform the others significantly, or maybe even two of them. But that's how you tap the vein. So you run 10 identical campaigns. And I don't recommend doing this out of the gate, especially if you're on a limited budget. If you have a higher budget, then it's fine. This is a tool that you can use, and it's very effective. Definitely our mentors and myself and Rob, we use this method all the time, especially if we've already proven that a offer is good. We've already proven that an ad is working and their pre-sale settings are all good, that our tracking, that all of our targeting and everything is good. So in other words, we've already had success in the past, but then we've fallen out of the vein. Or one of our friends or one of our, like Rob is running an ad, I'm running an ad, one of the mentors is running an ad that's working for them. Well, then that's enough proof for us that this ad with these settings, they will work. So that's the point where you can tap the vein. And once you once you run the tap the vein method, that will be, again, I just shared with you. It's very simple. Like I said, you run 10 identical campaigns, everything identical. One of them will hit, will tap into that vein, and then you drop all the other 9. And then now you've successfully tapped that vein in one day, and you've avoided all that frustration, and now you're into the big ROI. So again, you might be doing 50%, 70%, 120%, negative ROI on one of them, but then one of them will get like 320% ROI, and then you just drop all the other ones and you keep that one going. Does that make sense? That's called the tap the vein method. And what I just shared with you right there is extremely powerful. It's probably made millions of dollars for our mentors and our students all the time. It's an amazing method that will save your butt probably many times over. And you'll be like, I was doing so good, and you'll get all depressed, and then you'll be like, what do I need to do? Man, I was there, I was tasting it, it was awesome. I made like $7,000 this week, and I was just getting there, and then it's just my ads stopped performing. What happened? Like, have you tried the tap the vein method yet? Oh no, I haven't. Should I? Yeah. Go tap the vein. They'll run back. They'll run $10 or $20 to 10 identical ads, and boom, they're back in it. And now they're off to the races, and they're like, oh my God, thank you so much. Tap the vein method is awesome. So again, you don't have to do it right away, and I don't recommend doing it right away. Do your $10, $20 a day testing, but once you find something that is working, hold on to it and don't easily throw it away, because it might just be that you fell out of the vein. The needle came out and there's no more blood, so you got to re-tap the vein. Okay, make sense?
And each one is you set it up as a separate campaign ad set ad, right?
Completely different, yeah. And that'll be explained to you in the tap the vein method that I'll upload in the members area this week. And yeah, so there is absolutely no difference between any of them. They're absolutely identical campaigns. Everything is exactly the same. It's a separate campaign, separate ad set, separate ad, completely copied in 10 different times.
Christopher says, won't you be outbidding yourself on Facebook running identical ads? I think this is a good question, because that's the assumption.
Yeah, it's a fair question, but it's just a simple little test. You're going to know within one day. I mean, there's so many people running ads out there. I mean, you're not going to. It's not like you're going to a like. This is a funny story, but my brother, when he was younger, he was like 9 years old, and he was so excited. My mom gave him $5 to go to across the street. There was an estate. What do they call it? Like shit. What do they call that? Where you're like bidding on stuff, an estate sale, right?
Oh yeah, like an auction.
Auction, yeah. He went to an auction and he had $5 and he found this item that he wanted. He wanted this 35 millimeter camera, this outdated camera, but he had his heart set he was going to buy that camera. And so when they came around and they said, okay, who'll give me $1 for this camera? And they started doing the whole announcer thing, where they're speed rapping or whatever. And he agreed to $1, and then he was like, okay, who'll give me $2? And then he was like, I'll give you $2. And they're like, okay, we got $2. Like, who'll give me $3? I'll give you $3. he outbid himself all the way up to $5. And finally, they felt so sorry for him that they gave it to him for $1. But yeah, you don't have to really worry about that. You're not gonna outbid yourself. And if you do, it's just for a day anyway. It's just for a few hours anyway. So
there's a lot of questions about that. I'll just lump them as very logical questions about the tap the vein method. And I want you to just remove logic from the equation because it's just a strange hack that works for some reason. And
it works.
There's some stuff that's weird. Yeah, there's some stuff that's weird on Facebook and it doesn't make sense. And you say, this is how I think it should work. And it doesn't work that way. And there's some stuff that you think that shouldn't work because of this, this, and this. And it does work. And this is just one of those things that you could spend forever analyzing it from a logical perspective, and we'll never know exactly why. But when we do it, it works. So
yeah, why would one outperform the other? Like I said, it's because there's a lot of stuff happening behind the scenes that you don't know about. I mean, when I describe that there are buckets or veins, right, to tap into, have I talked to Facebook about this? No. Do I know for a fact that there are veins or buckets or whatever you want to call them? You can call it anything you want. 10 ads run exactly, 10 ad campaigns exactly identical. One of them will significantly outperform the other ones, and it will consistently outperform the other ones. The only explanation to me is that there's a vein or a bucket that we get tapped into, and I've proven this to myself and to my students over and over again. It is a fact. I can say it without a doubt. It is 100% fact. Trust it. It'll make you a lot of money if you do.
All right. So should we hop into Q&A?
Okay. Even though we're at 2 hours and 27 minutes, but if there's anything.
We're pretty, yeah, actually, that's a good point. So we're pretty far along in the webinar, and we've been doing Q&A throughout the whole thing. And I do want to reiterate the thing that Gary mentioned, that we are going to be posting a Q&A section, a searchable Q&A section in the members area where we've pulled all of the questions from all the past webinars. And Gary and myself and our mentors and our staff are creating answers for all of those. Some of those will be in text format, some of them will be in video format, so that you can log in to the members area, you can search for your questions, and you can get your answers. And we will be posting that as soon as we can. That's one of the things on our to-do list. So as soon as we can get that reviewed and posted, you'll be able to use that.
I gotta jump back in here. I'm sorry, because I think I can cover a lot of stuff really fast here. Everybody who's asking, I know that you mentioned this too. Everybody who's asking all these questions, because they're still coming in about the tap the vein method. There's so many things, like should we be running them all at the same time or separately? Should we be running them to different locations or different different settings, different? No, absolutely no difference. They are 10. For all intents and purposes, they are copy and paste campaigns running at the same exact time. You set them all up today, run the same amount of money to the same exact audience, the same exact ad, everything is identical. One of them will outperform the rest. Somebody said, can I run 5 instead of 10? Sure, but you might have to do it again, it depends, it's up to you. But there's no, magic there, magic number or anything, but that's what I usually do. I was just like, if I run 10, I'd probably get the answer twice as fast as you maybe, but yeah, okay, that's it.
All right. I don't want to go too far back in the questions, because I know a lot of these we've been answering, and I've been trying to answer type in answers and send the ones that apply to everybody. I've been trying to answer them to everybody, so you can see the responses in the question box. But let's see if there's anything.
Somebody said, if I only have $200 to spend on ads, is that realistic that I can have success with this program? We've covered this a lot before, but just answer it again. Yes, but the time span that you'll go from where you are to being, to making $1,000 a day is just going to take you longer. You just have to reinvest your money. And I would also, if you only have $200, I would eagerly be out there trying to find how to get your hands on a little bit bigger budget, ideally like a credit card or something like that, or an investment partner. And I haven't really talked about this too much this time, but I do think that an investment partner is a realistic thing. I've even had people contact with me on Facebook this week talking about, I just got somebody, to like partner up with me, and they're going to budget, they're going to fund, and I'm going to run all the ads. That thing happens way more often than you think. Find one person who trusts you, who has credit or credit card, and you have the time. Because listen, people are always trading money for time and time for money. There are people out there with money, I'm telling you, there are investment-minded people out there with money that they know that they're setting on money that could be making them more money. If they only had a really good deal that they could plug into, they'll do it. I guarantee you, every single one of you on this call right now who's has a limited budget. Now, if you're not a trustworthy person, or if you've kind of like, burnt your bridges with people, or if you haven't followed through on your promises with people, like you do have to be trustworthy, and people have to like believe in you. But sometimes believing in yourself is enough. If you have any credibility with someone, don't be afraid to go out there and find an investment partner. It's a lot better to make 50% of the profits from $1,000 a day than it is to make 100% of the profits from $100 a day. You know what I mean? So don't be afraid to go out there, and don't be surprised if you find somebody, who believes in you enough to, whip out their credit card and say, okay, let's try it out for a little test run for 30 days. You can spend, $3,000, but I get that first 3,000, as long as it's profitable, it's making money, then we can roll it back in. But if things go sideways, then the first 3,000 comes back to me, and whatever, you figure out a deal, where you agree to pay back half the money, or whatever the case is, but you make them I wouldn't give somebody a 50% partnership, or if I did, it would be for a limited amount of time, say for the first 90 days, you're a 50% partner. And then, whatever, you can kind of figure out your own deal. It depends if you're a good deal maker or not, but don't turn your back on that concept, because I know personally a lot of students who've used it to expedite their success, to speed up their success. What else? Tons of questions.
Yeah, a lot of the questions are
Nick
going to
says
be covered in.
Amazing. Yeah.
A lot of the questions are going to be covered in supplemental content. I think one thing that's really going to help some people, is when we add a checklist on the week 4, like a start to finish checklist. I think that'll be very helpful for any questions about what process to go through as you start to actually run an ad. People are asking about the block words. We'll upload that to the supplemental content. Oh, the power words. Let me make a note of that. We'll upload the power words to the supplemental content. Yeah, we're going to upload quite a bit of stuff. The knowledge base is a new thing that we're creating. So that's something we will add soon, which the FAQ or Q&A or whatever you want to call it, we'll probably call it the knowledge base. Well, that's what we called it before.
We just spoke with Kimberly a couple days ago, and she had all of those done. It looked really good. Okay.
All right. There's a lot of positive comments coming in. People saying, thank you so much for this training. You guys are awesome. I love you guys. Things like that. So thank you.
Yes, thank you. How has this training been for you guys, by the way? Has it been helpful? I know we covered a lot of stuff. It's a little bit advanced stuff, but really powerful stuff too, I know. So just anyway, just chime in there and let us know if this has been helpful so far.
Jim says every webinar is better than the last. Tony says informative. Excellent training. Thanks. Thank you very much. This was so helpful. Let me pull open, I like to do this. Let me pull open Jing and show a screenshot of this just so everybody can see. Let me change. Sorry, it'll take me just a moment.
Yeah, hopefully this is all coming together for all of you. I'm sure there are some of you who you just can't quite connect all the dots. That's what we're here for, is to help fill in those gaps for you. And it really is, you know, a lot of people can be extremely successful just with getting to that 90% mark, because our 90% mark is like light years ahead of what most people ever see. You know, most ad guys out there, people running ads on Facebook, they don't know a 10% of what you guys already know right now. So you're in a good place, but still filling in those tiny little gaps, those little cracks. That's where we're going to be going forward. There's a bunch of little gaps, and we want to make sure that we connect all the dots for you. And
right, so
this is where the start coming.
So give me some feedback,
right,
Gary, as I do this to make sure you can see my screen. So
yeah.
Can you see the answered questions yet?
Yeah, they just came up.
Okay, cool. So that's, let me pull that out of the way. So that's, let me scroll down, do it again. How about now? So you got this phenomenal, Tap the Vein is amazing, never heard of it in 3 years of Facebook marketing, very helpful, excellent. Can you see this screenshot, Gary?
Yep, I can see it.
Okay, great teaching, getting a lot clearer, awesome training, mind-blowing, chat on support is amazing, has helped me so much. Let me scroll down a bit.
Yeah, and it'll be helpful for you to go through step by step and actually set up an ad. To go to the ad challenge will help you a lot conceptually, and then when you get in, you actually start running running ads. Now, I gotta throw this out there. As you can see on the screen here, as Rob keeps pulling this up, you know, I know that there's so much appreciation for what we're doing here, and it makes it all worthwhile for us, to be honest with you. To get that positive reinforcement, you know, it helps Rob and I know that we're doing some good here and that we're bringing value to the world and to you guys, specifically to our students. It really does. It makes it all worth it. But I want to emphasize one more thing to you. I think is so important, and I think I'll do it through another little story, okay, with Gigi. If you haven't seen Gigi's story, you can go to my YouTube channel and check it out, The Gary Kramer on YouTube, or there's probably a link in the members area or something, I guess. But Gigi's story is really powerful, and Gigi, she was my first ever student as a personal mentor, and you know, she has these really unique challenges that most people don't deal with. She has cerebral palsy, right? And she had really limitations in her belief system, because if you look at somebody who walks the way that she walks and speaks the way that she speaks, people's expectations of someone that's uniquely like that, you know, she was saying she'd go through an airport and they would take her to the side and say, "Oh, poor dear, you know, let me take you to the side." She's like, I have, you know, a disability, but I'm not retarded or stupid or something like that. She'd feel a little bit like hurt by it, you know, but at the same time, though, she dealt with it. But the point is, though, is that, you know, it's our belief system. Everyone deals with the same limitations, and so what's probably going to happen for a lot of you, and I just want to like go out in front of you, and I just want to anticipate something that's probably going to happen to a lot of you, and that is that you're going to get to where you've learned enough that you should be running ads now. You've learned enough to where it's time to start running your first ad, and you're going to learn a lot better, a lot faster once you start actually running ads. But there's a point in there that you want to make sure that you hit it, right? So you don't want to run ads before you're knowledgeable enough where you're going to make a mistake and get your ad account shut down, because that's a real risk. It's already happened to some people, and then they find themselves where you're going to want to watch the fail point video that we're going to be posting tomorrow. Okay, so you don't want to lose your account, so you don't want to jump the gun before you feel confident that you know your stuff. But don't wait forever. Rob and I got on a phone call with one of our students one time, and this was a year or two ago, was it, Rob? You remember? I bet you know what I'm going to say, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. He was. You want to tell the story, or you want me to?
Sure. Yeah, it was interesting. This is the first time we did the training, and we had gotten to the point where we'd done a number of ad challenges. We'd done a number of live Q&As. We'd done, the first time we did this, we only did 6 weeks of training. So this time we're doing 8 weeks of training. But each training is 2 to 3 hours, and we're sitting on this training right now, and we're close to the 3-hour mark here. And so it's a lot of content to consume. He said, so his thing was ad accounts. He was worried about his ad account getting shut down, which is a valid concern. But he had allowed that to stand in the way of taking action. So we were asking him what he had done so far, because we always talk about taking massive action. He said, well, he'd gone through all of the trainings, I think he said 3 times. So we're talking, if you're 3 hours per training, because some of them were like 3.5 hours. If you're talking 3 hours per training, that's 18 hours times 3. So that's, a ton. What is that, 48 hours or something like that?
4 hours. Yeah.
He'd gone through all of the live Q&As more than once. Those sometimes are 2 or 3 hours, just sitting there answering questions. And he'd gone through all the ad challenges, and we're like, well, how many ads have you run? And he's like, well, I was waiting until, I got 10 ad accounts. And we're like, what? Do you have an ad account? Well, yeah, but I didn't want to lose my ad account, and it's like
for 6 months or something already. You hadn't run a single ad. Okay,
and
so let me.
You know what? You got to take massive action on the actual action steps.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can sit there and just take massive action on learning stuff, and that doesn't count. It's important. Like I said, you got to get to that point where you know enough, but don't get to that. It very quickly turns into enough, but you're not taking action. And what do they call that? I don't know. You get I don't know. But you kind of become paralyzed by not, I don't know, whatever. There's some term I'm trying.
Yeah,
what is it?
By indecision, really, decision paralysis.
There you go. Yeah, decision paralysis, and that's what he had, and a lot of people have it. So I'll jump back to Gigi's story. Now, Gigi, as you already know, you can look down her path and you can see that she did achieve success with this program. It took her 90 days, but all the way up until that 90-day mark, she hadn't run an ad, even though she had everything that she needed to run the ad, and she got into that that paralysis state where she had known everything that she needed to know to run ads, and for about 30 days, she had money set in the bank, she had her credit card, she had all the knowledge that she needed, she had the ads already, the ad challenge she'd already done, everything that she needed, but she just kept sitting there. And in hindsight, she said that she was just afraid to take action because she was afraid of failing. We all have a lot of wisdom when we look backwards at our the mistakes that we make. But when we're looking forward, it's like we don't see. It's like that flashlight shines far behind us, but not very far in front of us somehow. And so I had to kick her in the butt there and finally just tell her, say, listen, you got to take action. You have to run an ad. And I've given you 90 like was 90 days of my time. I believe in you. I know that you can do this, but you need to do it today. Like tonight at midnight. By midnight, you need to set up your first ad to run by like 4, 5, 6 in the morning. And if you don't, I'm out of here, you know. And she's like, yeah, you're right. You know I need to. I've just been sitting on this, you know, because I'm like afraid to take action on this one part. And I'm like, well, you know, don't be afraid to fail, because if you fail, you're going to learn from it. There's no harm in failing. You probably cannot succeed without first failing a few times. So you're just postponing your success by you know, resisting, you know, taking that initial action of running your first ad. So you guys are probably, some of you are already running ads. In fact, I got just today, or was it yesterday or something, I got a Facebook notification from one of our students who said I should have showed you the screenshots of the students who've already been having success. But she was like, yeah, I just made my first sale. You know, I'm so excited. And she was one of those students who had her ad account shut down, already got it back on. So just think about it. You know, how much action are you taking right now? I mean, personally, she's already ran ads, got her ad account shut down, got it back up, and made her first sale by the end of the 3rd week. It was. So, and the other students have been telling me on Facebook too, and I don't know about support yet, but this is the time when a lot of you are right on the verge of being ready to run your ads. You know, and this is where it starts getting real, guys, you know. So again, don't do it too fast. If you're not ready, know that you're not ready. It's like I say, especially here in Bali, like if I get a friend who comes over and visits, or a student, it's like, if you're not ready to ride a motorcycle, don't push yourself. Don't drive faster because everybody else is driving faster, because there's a real risk involved. You know, you might crash. But if you're feeling confident, you know, then don't wait. You know, take that step. I think this is an important message, you know, that you guys got to be ready for. It's time to, you know, once you feel like you know and you understand all this stuff, and you know how to set up your ad. For a lot of you, I'd say it would make a lot of sense to probably go through the ad challenge first. If you're having doubts, I think that you'll be better off for it. But you know, it's not like a big race or anything. But what's important is that you don't get caught up into inaction. That's really, really important.
The term is analysis paralysis. I think it must be a common term, because there's like 800 comments that say analysis paralysis.
I knew that it was one of those rhyming words.
All right, so do you want to go ahead and wrap it up, because we're getting pretty close to 3 hours. We are going to be posting the knowledge base soon, so you will be able to see the questions too. I mean, the answers to all the questions that we aren't able to get through on the call. We've got, at the moment, we've got over 700 people on the call right now, and it's after nearly 3 hours. So we do get a little bit overwhelmed by the questions. So we're not always able to answer all the questions on the live call, but we will be getting to all the questions within the knowledge base very soon. We're also going to be adding a lot of supplemental content in week 4 to supplement the training that Sean's done in there, and to create a checklist and add any additional stuff based on the feedback that we're seeing here of what people are confused about and what people are struggling with. And there will be some other goodies. The ad challenge, we will be posting that soon in the members area, and we'll send out an email, and there will be instructions on that.
The main thing, the only thing that we're waiting on is just to do a little bit of testing on the software, right?
Yeah, we don't want to have hundreds of people go submit an ad, and then the software fails, and then we go, oh crap. Well, let's try and sort this out.
Cool. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's almost done. Hopefully, do you think that'll be up there? I don't want to make any hard promises and disappoint anybody, but I have the feeling that it's got to be really, really close. So as soon as we get it done, yeah, really close. So definitely keep your eye out for that. Hopefully that'll be out there soon, this week, even possibly. If so, I think we'll push hard for that and try to make that happen, because I want to see you guys starting to run ads, and that's gonna give you guys all of you a confidence boost, big confidence boost. So
I see a comment here that someone says, "Wait, we need 10 ad accounts to start," and I was
Oh,
there's always a misinterpretation sometimes if
Yeah.
people are not paying attention or distracted. That the point of that story was that guy was distracted by the idea that he thought he needed a bunch of ad accounts, and no, you don't. You need to take action.
Now for ad account questions, this is going to be a separate training, probably next week, right, Rob? I think.
Yeah, I think
so.
Schedule.
Probably, yeah. So for all the questions that are coming in regarding ads, do we need multiple ad accounts? Why do we need a separate domain name for every ad account? It'll all become really clear to you in the ad account training that we're going to do. There's a lot of, it's kind of like this one. There's a lot of little things that a lot of variables and a lot of questions that'll come out of there. So we can't do it on this call. So can I please hold those questions?
Yeah, a lot of this stuff is going to be clear because some of these questions people have like this sense of urgency, like that, like if they don't get their question answered right now, then they're hopeless. But a lot of this stuff will be answered. Make sure to check out that checklist. So if you have any issue about am I getting everything done correctly as I start to run ads, we'll upload that checklist this week to week 4, and that should clear it up for you. Like there's a question about what type of Facebook page. It's not really that important what type, but we'll spell out that kind of stuff in the checklist of, do all of this stuff. And then
the ad accounts is a pretty deep subject. So, just trust us that when we say your single question there is just the tip of the iceberg, you'll have a lot more. So don't get overly confident or cocky or concerned or worried. None of the above. Just take it. We're going to cover everything next week.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. All right. So thank you, everybody. We appreciate you, and we really love doing this. We really love helping you out, and the positive feedback that we're getting from you just makes it so worth it. And it's just so great to be able to help change lives like so many people in the past. So I'm loving this. This training is awesome. I love being a part of this, and keep an eye out for our emails this week, and make sure to keep on logging into the members area and checking to see if there's additional content you missed the first time around, because we're constantly adding stuff, and we'll try to notify you of everything, but we may miss something that we added, because Gary and I are both adding stuff simultaneously. So there may be something that we added that we didn't include in an email or a mention. So make sure you're hopping through there. There's not that many pages in the members area, so you may be surprised by something we've added. And there's a lot to come, so I'm excited. Gary, you want to add anything to wrap it up?
Not really. No, I think that's good. I'm excited too. I know that like I said, we're at that junction where a lot of people are going to start running ads very, very soon over the next few days to a couple weeks, and this is where things get exciting for you guys, and they get exciting for us too, because the feedback starts coming in. People start having fear, people start having doubts, but people also start having success, and it starts going like this, and you guys are going to start being inspired by some of your fellow students very soon. And I hope for each one of you that you're the ones doing the inspiring. But even if not, don't worry about it. That's okay. That's where the community comes together. That's where all of us start feeding off of the first few people that have their success, their little successes, and then their medium successes. That first sale. We'll start sharing these stories with you as they come through. We'll kind of do it a little bit organized way, but we'll share these stories with you. When people get their first $100 a day, that's going to inspire you. And when they get their first $1,000 a day, it's going to inspire you. You guys are going to be sparked by it, and you'll see. Rob used to tell this story about who's the 4-minute mile guy, Bannister or whatever his name was, the 4-minute mile guy. Right. And when you see somebody achieve an impossible feat, and right now some of you are probably thinking that making $1,000 a day or $100 a day even, or just being financially free or being able to quit your job, that seems impossible to you. Well, Bannister dude or whatever, everybody thought that it was impossible to run a 4-minute mile, and it was literally impossible. Not a single person had ever done it. until that one person did it. And as soon as he did it, everybody else started doing it too. There were like numerous, dozens of people that followed up and started doing it right after him. You can also look up the story of the 100 monkeys phenomenon. Look that up if you're interested in exploring that phenomenon. But when one person does something, it's like suddenly everyone can do it. So yeah, very exciting times here. Shall we close it down, Rob? You still there?
Oops, I was on mute. So we will post a replay in the members area as soon as we can get it processed and uploaded with Volley upload times. Keep an eye out, and we will talk to you again very soon. Everybody, have a great day, have a great night wherever you're joining us from, and talk soon.
See ya. Bye.